hesitation. Got me going crazy. Keep it moving. I'm tuned in to True North Racing, the podcast that you need if you got the need for speed. John Morrison interviewing guests in the industry. Hey, short track, stock car racing. Gotta get it hype. Saturday night under the lights. Hear the engine rooming by. Smell the gas and feel the vibe. Going into overdrive. Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Hey, True North Racing. Let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the True North Racing podcast brought to you by JoMo Media Promotions. My name is John Morrison, and welcome to the show, guys. As you guys can see, I'm short-staffed tonight. Unfortunately, last night, Caitlin Walls had some motor issues, so so they've been working on the motor all day. So unfortunately, she's not here. Megan joined me in Toronto on Sunday today, and she did an amazing job. I was so proud of her. Unfortunately, she had a nap early home and was getting herself ready for the show when unfortunately a migraine took over and is sidelining her for the night. So I hope both our other co-hosts are able to get better, and we'll see them soon. So welcome back to the show, guys. My name is John Morrison, and we're going to go solo tonight on the True North Racing podcast. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about our weekend. Saturday, I was with Flamboro Speedway, and as well as Motorama. Motorama was happening this weekend. I'm going to talk about that for a little bit. Motorama was happening this weekend, and what a great event it is. You know, Greg McPherson and all the team at the Motorama show do an incredible job. They invited me down. They actually invited our entire crew down and to do a live taping of our show. Now, yesterday, was able to get on for about 20 minutes. We talked to one of the competitors. We talked to one of the guys who were there. We talked to Brandon Feeney from Peterborough Speedway. It was awesome actually getting a chance to meet him. I've been following him on social media for the past few years now, and I've never been able to actually talk to him, or obviously because he's all the way on Peterborough, I'm all the way out this way in Brampton. It is such a difficult thing for us to do. So it was nice getting a chance to meet him and finding out a little bit more about him, because all weekend we clicked and we just chatted up a storm. Whenever you guys saw, if you saw us there, like, man, we were just having so many conversations about so many different things. It was awesome. He's got a great looking ride this year. It's going to be pretty cool. He's going to debut that thing next weekend at Sunset Speedway. Oh, excuse me. So he actually won a couple of awards, and we were already joking, saying that those are the only awards he's going to win this year. But I got to thank him, because I guess over the weekend we jokingly said, I was like, oh, you should do a giveaway, whoever does the best Feeney call. And if you guys are any like Boy Meets World, that is something that Eric Matthews in the show did for a number of years. He always had this Feeney call. So this morning when I walked into the show, Brandon walked up to me and goes, hey man, here's a hat. What we talked about. It's like, you got the best one so far, so I'm just going to give you a hat now. So I'm like, awesome. So yesterday on our live taping, he was nice enough to come up on stage, and we chatted for about 20-25 minutes or so. And we just talked about a lot about racing and how much fun we had. And it was kind of funny, because when I first met him, he mistook me for someone else. And I thought that was absolutely hysterical. He took me as another super stock driver, Johnny Morrison, who runs Sunset Speedway. Now I'm John Morrison, that's Johnny. So I may have to feel like I have to change my full thing to just JoMo, and that way everyone knows exactly who I am. And it was funny how he's like, man, how do you what do you do to, like, how are you so busy? Like, where's your car? Where's it? I was like, what are you talking about? I don't have a car. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I don't have a car. He's like, you sold it? I was like, I never owned one. I never raced before. He's like, oh, I'm like, there's a Johnny Morrison who runs up at Sunset. I said, but I'm John Morrison. He goes, that's it. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So it was kind of funny, a little mistaken identity, thinking I was a super stock driver. But hey, I know I'm just a media guy who loves racing and wants to talk to all the racers out there. I feel like maybe if I think we need to get Johnny on for an episode just for laughs and whatnot, because that would just be a good one, because I got some good stories to that is from 2020 that I could tell. So that was a lot of fun. And last night, of course, we started racing again. We were down there at Flamboro Speedway. So I left the show around 2:30, traveled on down. And yeah, we got there. I got there about 4:30. Gates opened at 4. For the CVMs, we had a decent showing. I'm not happy with the car count, not gonna lie. We only had 11 cars come on out, but I know a few of them were because of part related issues. We weren't able to get the parts, so there's a few teams that had to sit out. I'm really hoping there's a lot more cars coming on May 21st. That's about 2 weeks out from now. But they still put on a hell of a show. They what else did they? Oh, it was weird. I was not gonna lie. It was the time trials, the 5-lap time trials, was a little different for me, and it felt like we had a lot longer, a shorter of a day, but longer of a intermission, which was kind of nice. But the invert was 4, and that put fastest qualifier of the night was Quinn Murdoch. So Quinn started 4th, but he works his way up to the field real quickly and was able to top spot over from Ricky Williger on a restart early on in the race, and never looked back from there, even after a red flag for about 10-15 minutes or so. The 33 of Robbie Guy lost the motor going down into 1, and unfortunately Joe Arsenal was right behind him, and got collected and got into the outside wall where he slapped the outside. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go watch some video on that because I didn't catch it at all. I think on my GoPro I did. Unfortunately, we didn't have an in-car GoPro this week. Not too sure what's going on with my in-car one. So if anyone wants to fund me to, maybe I need to start a GoFundMe. I want to get 3 cameras, but we want to get some, half decent action cameras. So if anyone wants to donate some, let me, just put it down in the comments. Of course, I'm just joking, guys. I'm going to be able to go out and go do that in a couple weeks, but we're hoping to have another one ready to go in about 2-3 weeks. It looks like that GoPro is dying on me. It's not holding a charge. Or if it was turned on or something, but fortunately, we didn't get any in-car from, and we're gonna go along with Mike Pod. So I'm hoping in 2 weeks we're back to normal. We have our GoPros going again. But I still have my other one. We still got footage of it, but of course, the wreck that took out Joe Arsenal on lap 21, I didn't catch that visual like with my own eyes, and I haven't gone back and checked out the footage yet, because after getting home last night and early morning this morning to get over to Motorama, it was a short night for me. But yeah, it was still a great night of racing. The car, Pure Stocks put on a great show. The CVMs were the first division that had a caution and a red flag this year, so that's not a good start, but hey, it is what it is. But congratulations for Quentin Murdoch for winning the Hank Frank Memorial season opener, brought to you by Dave Frank's Photos. It was awesome. Got a funny story actually about Dave Frank's yesterday. So when Brandon and myself were up on stage, he stopped by. We're just messing around talking, and I made a comment, and I was like, he said something about going to racing, and I was like, yeah, man, I gotta go to Flamboro. He goes, what for? I was like, the Hank Frank season opener for Flamboro Speedway, or for the Canadian Modifieds. He goes, no. I was like, yeah, man. He's like, man, for all that plug, I gotta give you a couple bucks. I'm like, nah, it's all good. And then he reaches in his pocket and reaches out a couple of whirlers and tosses one to myself and one to Brandon. And we're just like, we're both bigger guys. So we're like, ooh, candy. But yeah, that was funny. But yeah, it was the Hank Frank season for Hank Frank Memorial season opener, brought to you by Dave Franks. And we gotta congratulate Quinn Murdoch for going out there and essentially stomping the field a little bit there. He ran a great race. Today, so over into today, got up early. We headed on down to Motorama for day 2 of our day 3 of the show, but day 2 for myself, where we weren't sure when we were going to go on stage, but Greg McPherson wanted me to reach out to Gary Calling and bring him up, or head up on stage whenever there was a slot open essentially up on stage. So we talked to Gary a little bit later than I really wanted to, but he was running around, which is fine. He actually called me over and had an interview with myself, which was different for me because I'm usually the one interviewing, not being interviewed. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, we talked about JoMo Media, we talked about CVMs, we talked about Flamboro Speedway, and it was awesome. And then before we went up on stage, Gary Calling was talking to Alex Tagliani and Kyle Steckley, and you know, we were joking saying Alex doesn't get to talk a whole lot. Meanwhile, he almost talked the entire portion of their show, which was awesome. It was hysterical. And he made a comment about being Kyle Steckley's mentor, and I had a crack and like the scene from Jerry Maguire is like, show me the money. He's like, show me the sponsorship. And I thought, and I just spoke out loud. I'm like, that'd be a great spot. That's a great commercial, a great thing. It would be great to see, like, pretending Alex has like a mental breakdown and then calling up Kyle, or Kyle, other way around, like Kyle's not getting a sponsor, so he calls up Alex, and then it just, the whole show me the sponsorship. I think it would be hysterical. I really hope the guys that handle both of them they do it, because that's such a great thing, and I think it'd be hysterical. And I'm gonna be honest, I got a little starstruck because I've never met Alex Tagliani. Never, I met him once at Sunset, but obviously in the crowd and everything like that, it was just different. So after he gets off stage, I was just joking with Kyle, and Kyle came over. We started talking. It was Megan, myself, and Brandon Feeney, and we're all just just talking. And the next, Alex Tagliani just casually walks over, starts putting himself in the conversation and starts chatting with us. And I'm thinking, like, man, this guy who's been in Champ Car, who's a star in the NASCAR Pinty Series, just casually walked over and started having a conversation with us. And I thought that was it. To me, it was a surreal moment, having Alex come over and talk to me, and it was so cool. And I want to get up to his karting complex up in Quebec. I think it would be a great weekend away, or it'll be a fun time going out there. And it'd be cool if Alex came out and started racing with us, but hey, that would be a lot of fun. But that's the cool part, is just the way he was so down to earth, and just the way he talked. It was awesome. That was probably one of the highlights of my weekend. Didn't realize that and of course Megan and I followed, and it was just like, oh. Then we talked racing, we talked everything. We honestly, I didn't set up a show plan, nothing like that. A lot of what I do is just off the cuff. So it was funny, it was hysterical. And we just kind of picked and chose what we were talking about. We talked about the CVMs. We talked about Megan's dad getting back behind the wheel in 2022. We talked about Flamboro. We talked about Peterborough. We talked about Oshwegan, Burger Barn. I'm hoping I get those videos from Greg McPherson, because I guarantee you those are going to be some funny YouTube moments. Just seeing what we came up with, and just talked we ended up talking for about an hour and a half. Didn't know how long we were going to go. No one came over and stopped us, and we talked about lift the visor, and it was such a great conversation. And so I got to thank Rick and Debbie for bringing Megan down, and Megan obviously for coming out and doing the show with us, doing a live portion, which I never thought I'd ever get a chance to do. But I got to thank Greg McPherson for inviting us down and doing a show, doing a couple of shows. Really, it was a lot of fun, and I hope we do this again in the future. Heading over into our young drivers Canadian Vintage Modifieds rundown, we had a great, like, I already went over this in our kind of our open segment, or whatever we want to call it. So Quentin Murdoch was our feature winner in last night in the Hank Frank Memorial season opener. And then Ricky Williger placed second. TJ Marshall was third. Rodney Rutherford was fourth. Mike Pod fifth. Steve Murdoch sixth. Scott Sinelli seventh. Eighth was the return of Adam Ross, which is awesome. I got a bunch of footage of that. I can't wait to piece it together and show everyone. Jay Pepin, a new rookie this year. Awesome to see him come out. He had a good showing. Learned a lot. Talked to him already today. He enjoyed his time. Joe Arsenal again, knocked out on lap 21, and Robbie Guy finished 11th out of our 11 cars. So that was our night at the track. So moving on to the JoMo Media Rundown, we had about let me see here, 3, 5, we had about 10 drivers take green flags last night. First up in the pure stocks, Joe Lawrence took home the victory in the pure stock race. Chris Lawrence finished 5th, Cameron Thompson 11th, and it appears that Alex Stewart may have not been scored. It looks like he was having transponder issues last night, so I'm not too sure where he finished. Roland Goodfellow, RW Goodfellow for Goodfellow Racing, finished 7th in his mini stock feature, and Caitlin Walls had to pull off with motor issues, finishing P8 on the night. In the CVMs, Ricky Williger for JoMo Media finished 2nd, Scott Tonelli 7th, Adam Ross finished 8th, Jay Pepin 9th, and Joe Arsenal 10th. And those were all the JoMo Media drivers running this weekend at Flamboro Speedway. Make sure you guys check back Friday around noon to see who's racing and where they're racing, so you guys can go out and catch them this summer. I think we're just about ready to bring in our guest tonight. So why don't we bring on Cole? He's just waiting for us right now. All right, guys. Tonight, joining us on the True North Racing podcast is the driver in the number 18 Ford Mustang Mini Stock, Cole Quinton. Cole, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I feel like this is strange, man. You got such a deeper voice than I do. So I don't know, man. Like it's hysterical because I'm just sitting over like, yeah, and you're like, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Jesus.
Good genes.
Yeah, I'd say so. How's your off season?
Oh, it was good. I mean, it definitely felt long. This is my first official off season. Definitely missed it, but we're right back into the swing with Flamboro last night. So it's been good.
Absolutely, man. Last night we headed on back to Flamboro Speedway for the first time in 2022, and I say it was a successful night all across the board. You know, we had 5 divisions come for opening night. We had time trials, and then we had a nice lengthy feature race. And you know, I'd say you went out there and held your own.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, coming off of really not a lot of practice, we weren't really expecting to be right out there coming out of the gate. So it was more like a test session for us, but I was pretty happy. P3 is pretty good. Definitely, you know, the other 2 were very competitive up front, and I would say the whole field was decently competitive last night for the size of it. But no, we're pretty happy. We kind of know what direction we need to take the car in, and even with myself, what I need to do different. But that's the first race. You know, you're going to work out those kinks as the season goes on. So pretty good night at Flamboro, though.
I'd say so. You had a really good battle there with Chris Pendlebury in the number 34, and at one point I was like, at one point I just jokingly, I was to myself, I was just like, damn it, neither one of you please wreck, because I don't want to be talking about this tomorrow night. Like, and I got Chris coming on in a few weeks, so I'm just like, neither one of you. I don't need to start a feud, or like, just please have a good finish, guys. There's what, 8 cars last night. Just good. Like, just go out there, have a good night. But you ran out there, you know, held your own, ran a solid race. P3, you can't go wrong with starting the season off with a P3, especially when you got, you know, the essentially Jillian Hill's old mini stock up there with I think it was Bobby Mercer behind the wheel. You know, it was absolutely crazy to see how fast he was. And of course, last year you were no slouch behind the wheel either.
Yeah, it was pretty good. 2021 was definitely a pretty good rookie season. I got a great group of guys behind me with Spira, and you know, everyone with Spira Racing, Eric and Rainey Shaw especially. Yeah, so last year was really good. Obviously, the first 2 races were, you know, a little rough. Getting into the car, definitely different from the go-kart stuff, right? So then we kind of worked past that, and eventually we picked up a few wins. So
absolutely. How many wins did you end off the season with last year?
I think it was 3 feature wins. Yeah,
okay,
it's pretty good.
So obviously I'm going to talk about, so before we obviously go back to where it all began, I want to bring up your first victory last year in the mini stock before we do. Now, I've talked to people who just got their first win and they were absolutely ecstatic. When you cross that checker flag, when you got the checker flag, cross the finish line and saw your name P1 on the board, what was that feeling like heading off into turn 1 and just feeling, you know, how were you feeling in that moment when you got your first win?
It was definitely a lot of relief. A lot of work goes into this stuff, and I don't think a lot of people see it. So especially sitting out the 2020 season, which was originally planned to be our rookie season, it was a little frustrating over that kind of transition in 2021, and to get that first win, it was definitely like a huge weight was, you know, lifted off my shoulders. So it was definitely the best feeling that I've had in racing, and ever since then I've just, you know, wanted to push even harder to, you know, experience that feeling. And it's the first one's always going to be the best one though, but you know, hopefully we'll have many firsts and, you know, different divisions and stuff over the years.
Absolutely, man. And that's exactly it. The first one's always hardest to get, but it's always the most, you're always your most favorite one. We're going to jump all the way back to when young Cole was a little tot, and tell us how you got started in racing and what made you want to get behind the wheel of a go-kart.
So I started a little later than some people. I know WRKC, who runs Flamboro in the morning. Usually they start, 7 or 8. So I started 8. I think I was just turning 9, maybe. I can't quite remember. It's a long time ago, right? So yeah, my brother previously raced go-karts, and we have no really racing background. But one year we were down in Florida, basically end up getting tickets to the Daytona 500. Kind of got the racing bug there. And once we got back home, my dad saw something about, Flamboro Speedway races and stuff like that. So he's like, I'll take, my brother out to the races. And they saw a little go-kart, it was kind of like a halftime thing in the races to promote the Waterloo Regional Kart Club. And that's how they got hooked. He started racing, and through the years, my brother raced go-karts. I was at the track every Saturday morning, kind of hooked right there and then, and it was all took off from there.
How long did you race with the WRKC?
I raced from I don't know the years. It was probably either 8 or 9. I can't quite remember, right? And then all the way to, I think I was 15 turning 16. Okay. So it was quite a few years, and yeah, it was good times there.
For sure, man. Whenever you get involved with a good group of people like the WRKC, you're gonna have those friends who turn into family, and it's almost like racing is a family reunion every Saturday when you show up at the track and you're offloading your cart, and you got your friends that come over and say hi, and you got your competitors that you're gonna go out there and go to battle against them, but meanwhile you're just having fun, and that's all it is, right?
Totally, yeah.
So you raced for the Kart Club for about six or 7 years here, and then what was one of your best memories from it?
Oh man, there's a lot of good memories from go-karting. Man, that's a tough one. I've always had some good battles with some of my buddies. A few of my buddies, Jordan Ramsbottom and William Adams, I always had good battles with. So I'd say 2019 was when I first got started with Spira, and that's when I won my second go-karting championship. And I remember the first race was probably one of the best battles that I've ever had in karting. It was really good racing. The three of us probably swapped the lead about 4 or 5 times in the feature, and it was really good racing, and that set off for a really competitive season. And it kind of showcased how good the racing can be on Saturday mornings at the WRKC. And I remember that race vividly because I kind of came off a little bit of a slump and kind of got that win. So it felt like a first win feeling again, even though, it was kind of longer down the road in my karting career. But no, that was definitely a good one.
Absolutely. So when you got started, when you're 8 or 9, obviously you're running, well, what's the class called? It's like junior cadet or something like that?
So there's cadet, novice, and then there's the junior classes, junior light, junior heavy, and then senior medium, and the old guys are the masters. So I left off at senior medium, and I started cadet, but I only ran 1 year in cadet and then moved up into novice really quick.
So when did you win your first karting championship?
I think it was novice. I think. I don't know exactly. I think it was novice. I think it was my second year karting, first year novice. I think that was my first one. It might have been 2014. And then kind of had a little bit of a break. And 2019, we got the second one in junior heavy. So.
Well, ain't nothing wrong with that. Walking away from the karting club with 2 championships, that's definitely nothing to be slouching about, especially in 2 different divisions. And unfortunately, because of either, however you want to put it, I can never make it down early enough for the go-karting, because you guys are crazy enough to get out there and start racing at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm good with my 4 p.m. stuff, showing up at the track at 4 p.m.
Totally.
And I'm perfectly happy, but I want to make it out to an event, because I hear nothing but good things. You know, like you said, we had Quinton on earlier, Quinton Murdoch, from the Canadian Division Modifieds, and he, you know, same thing. He's still out there going with the go-karters, and I'm just like, that's way too long of a day for me to be at a track.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't think I could do what he's doing right now, but it's just the racing bug, right? Like I enjoy the nighttime races as much as I'm more of a morning person myself, but it's a good atmosphere being around that car club, even though you got to wake up, before the sun even rises and everyone's tired. Once you get to the track, the environment is very friendly at the WRKC, and just like Flamboro on Saturday nights, it's a good place to be.
Absolutely, man. So obviously, like you said, you left in about 2019 after you won your second championship. And of course, with COVID shutting down our racing world in 2020, it was everyone announced that that you were going to be joining the mini stock ranks over at Spira Motorsports, taking over Rich Schwarzenberg's ride. How did that deal come about, and how excited were you to get that ride?
Yeah, luckily we knew someone who was involved in Spira. Obviously, someone familiar to Flamboro, Gary Calling. We've known him. That's actually kind of how we got started in karting originally. And he luckily set us up with a good group of guys when I was thinking about trying to do something else further than karting. And we met Rich and Eric Della Riva at the time, which they were doing the co-driver program. And they took me under their wing to kind of be a development driver throughout the 2019 season. So that included, going to the tracks, learning about race cars. I had no previous knowledge. I still got lots to learn myself. And I got out for a few test sessions in 2019. And at the end of 2019, we bought the car and stayed with the Spira shop to run the number 18 mini stock out of there.
That's awesome, man. You know, and Rich and all those guys, they're a good group of guys, and of course, everyone at Spira, you know, they're no slouches. They're putting out, top tier race cars each and every week. So for you and your team to join them and to come out and race the way you have been is amazing to hear, amazing to see, because sometimes it's those things that are unforeseen that you never know might happen until it happens. So obviously you just got behind the wheel of a stock car in 2019 though, and you started testing, you started learning. What's been one of the biggest challenges for someone like yourself who came from karting where you're an inch off the ground, you're turning left and right, but you're still on the same speedway, but just not for as long as you are now in a full body stock car? What's been the biggest challenge for you adjusting from left and rights to inch off the ground to about 4.5, 5 inches off the ground, and in a full body stock car where you can beat and bang?
Yeah, I mean, the racing is definitely more aggressive. I remember when I moved up to senior medium, because in 2020 I ran a few races at the WRKC actually. Um, I remember when I moved up to senior medium with the karting, I thought, this is definitely a little more aggressive. Guys are older and stuff like that. Well, when I moved up into the mini stock class, it was a whole different animal. They're definitely, everyone's smarter, everyone's more aggressive. The racing is it's completely different. It's kind of hard to explain. Just driving a car itself it's different challenges. I feel like a go-kart it's a lot easier to place where you want it. You don't really have to do much to a go-kart with handling and stuff like that, but a small minor inconvenience with how the car is handling and in the mini stock division can really impact you in lap time, where that's a major difference with karting. So just adjusting to that, gaining that knowledge and that experience with tweaking a car and getting it to your liking, that was a tough one to handle. And just being in a full size stock car, not being in a small go-kart, was also hard because that the spatial awareness thing. I remember my first night, I thought I was right up on a guy's door and I was half a car length off. So that's I still definitely gotta, you can always be better with, getting close to the wall and stuff like that and knowing where exactly you are. But that you pick that up pretty quickly. And, that's the big difference between the karting thing is the spatial awareness, and I would say just the knowledge. You got to have a lot more knowledge in this stuff to be competitive.
For sure, especially with the like you said, the tweaking part, right? It's all about, because whereas people on dirt, they're chasing a track and you can see it change throughout the night, where on asphalt the track changes, but you won't know the changes until you get it really realistically get out there and you see what's going on. So learning to make those tweaks, make those adjustments is something obviously that takes years and months and years of knowledge and of learning and perfecting it. So to see someone like yourself who's essentially gone out there and done it as well as you have, it's a great thing to see, because that's what the sport needs. We need this a lot, especially a lot more people like your age. How old are you anyways? About 16, 17?
I'm just 17 now. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And you talk so much deeper than I do.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God, man. But yeah, being only 16 or 17, you've learned so much in just the 2 years you've really had. Because obviously with COVID, you weren't able to make your debut, correct?
Yeah, that sadly pushed us back, but
yeah, your debut got pushed back a whole year. So throughout the entire COVID year, what were you doing to learn to understand how these cars worked?
well, I mean, first off, I just gotta say I'm super thankful to have, Ken and Carol Spira allow me to be within the Spira shop and the race team, because without them, I would be lost. I've learned so much from Eric De La Riva and Randy Shaw and everybody at the shop. 2020 was frustrating, I will say. I was, losing racing was kind of, I didn't think that I was so attached to racing until 2020. And I feel like a lot of people we got there and we're like, wow, what do we kind of do now?
Yeah.
So I definitely had to adjust. I had to find some things to do outside of it. And kind of deal with the frustration of just having to like kind of let it run its course and stuff like that. Obviously it was a shaky year, and we didn't get out due to everything going on in the world. But I sat back, kind of watched, and just waited patiently, trying to work on the car, make it quicker, understand it more, just so when we made that debut in 2021 that I would be as ready as I possibly could be. And I feel like over 2020, I feel like I learned the most about just how to be successful in racing and myself. And without 2020, I think 2021 wouldn't have gone as good as it did. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm thankful that I got to take that time at Spira and learn more about the car, watch guys like Kyle Steckley in the mini stock races in 2020, see what they're doing. And ultimately that prepared me to be the best possible driver I could be last year.
You say yourself that Kyle Steckley was, man, that guy's done some amazing things. Actually, I chatted with him today at the Motorama car show, and to see how well he's progressed. That kid is a craft of the sport. He is, he's someone who it was kind of funny that there was such I can't wait. I really hope someone puts this interview out, because it was absolutely hysterical, because it was Alex Tagliani, Gary Calling, and Kyle Steckley chatting.
Oh yeah.
And Alex even just pointed out, saying like, Kyle's a quiet kid. He's like Kyle, you gotta, when it comes time to talk to sponsors, you're gonna have to put your jacket on. You gotta be like, Jerry Maguire and Cuba Gooding Jr. in Jerry Maguire, and show me the money. Like, I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, like, but it's true. Kyle's such a great kid, but he's quiet. And to see yourself, it's nice to see someone like yourself learn after him and take what he's done and kind of, and it looked like it's helped morph your racing, because I know personally from the CVM side that a lot of guys have taken my videos that I've put out on YouTube over the past year, and they've learned a lot about themselves and how they've driven. Have you been able to watch any in-car footage as well as obviously general racing to help you learn how to handle these cars, to see what, and kind of start dissecting what other drivers were doing. Were you able to start doing something like that?
Yeah, totally. I would say I've actually grown, I would say, a good relationship with Kyle over the past 2 years. We started talking in 2020, and I would say once he got out of the mini stock scene, I definitely started bugging him for some pointers and stuff like that. Because he was the top of the mini stock class in 2020, so that was that was the bar. And obviously with Eric as my mentor and sticking on as helping as a crew chief, he's basically taught me everything I know when it comes to the mini stock stuff. And watching even his old videos last year, I'd struggle a few times with some things. We'd go back and be like, look what we did in this race in 2019. Look how I did this. And we'd kind of talk about it and understand it, debrief it, and that would help me for the next week. And I still like to do that now. Even before this week, I was watching some footage from Frostfest Memorial Night last year when I got my first win, and just seeing how I evolved over that set of races and how I can, use different aspects of what I did during those races to better my performance and stuff like that. So that stuff definitely helps. And Pedal Power is great. I love that they post those videos, and I definitely pay attention to that stuff to see where I can improve each time I'm on track.
Jesus, man, I'm gonna be honest here. It sounds like you're not a mini stock team. It sounds like you're a cup team over here. Oh yeah,
we try.
We watched hours of footage, and we went back and we debriefed. I'm like, I didn't know this was happening in mini stock, but to hear. But honestly, that's something I actually figured out of the Spire camp, is that to help set them up for success, obviously you got to go back and learn from your mistakes. Watching footage is a great thing. Is there any other tools you've been using, such as like iRacing or just online gaming? Has that been able to help you elevate your game as well, because you're, even though without the feel, you're seeing what you can do, what you can't do on the visual side? Is that something that you've learned as well?
Well, yeah, I would say I did a lot of iRacing over 2020, obviously, and I think everybody can
I
say
think a
that.
lot of people did.
Yeah, totally. And I actually started racing with guys like Carson Nagy and Kyle Steckley over 2020. And yeah, I would say I learned a lot from it. The visual, how to race guys when you see a guy, how to use runs and stuff like that, or you see a guy doing something, how to kind of like anticipate it. Even the visual with the wall and stuff like that. And I would say the no feel is actually more beneficial. I know a lot of guys like feel and stuff like that, so they're not too fond of iRacing. But once you get in the car, you can kind of I feel like you can use that to an advantage. And obviously iRacing, it's a video game. It tries to be a simulator, but it's a video game at most times. But I would say it helps with stuff like that. Even learning what to do on a car when it's tight there or loose somewhere else. That actually helped me is doing certain things in iRacing and stuff like that. So I would say learning how to even just race guys on iRacing, learning how to control runs and stuff like that. That I would say that was a beneficial tool for when I made my debut.
Absolutely, man. That makes a whole lot of sense, because it's funny, because even myself, I don't iRace, I don't race, I've never raced before, but I have such a big passion for racing. I've always wanted to get behind the wheel, but life happened, and here I am doing this, recording a podcast with yourself, helping out Solve Speed with their media, doing CVM media as well. It's nice talking to people like yourself who get behind the wheel each and every week, because there's sometimes, even though I don't get the same feeling as you guys do for strapping in a car each week, that don't mean I'm not up here playing a video game, because back in 2020, you're right. Everyone had to find something to do, because without it, what were we really doing? We had nothing to do. No one was working. Everyone was staying home. You were told to stay home, and to have that outlet of using, iRacing quite often, and racing with guys like Carson Nagy and Kyle Steckley. Those are some top-notch guys, because Carson wasn't a slouch in the mini stocks either. And obviously no. Kyle was definitely not a slouch in any car he's ever driven so far. So getting in with those guys and watching how they race, watching their runs, watching what they do is completely understandable how it elevated your game. Because I'm gonna take it to myself real quick. I do have steering wheel, I do have pedals, I got a shifter, and I go do a lot of dirt racing stuff on my PS4. And there's times I jump in an online lobby and I'm sitting there, and if I'm not fast, I'm watching the guy in front of me. Like,
Yep.
What do I need to do to get better? It's about feel, because the feel is the best part, but it's your visual representation of how you're feeling. So if you notice you're starting to get loose, yeah, you may not feel it, but guess what? You're noticing. You still notice if you get loose. You still notice if you get tight.
Yep.
And it helps you, it's that visualization that helps the realization, the realism of being in the car. You realize, it doesn't matter what your track you're on. You could sit there and like, you know something squirrely. I'm like, oh, I'm loose. Or you feel a something like going to your right. It's like, oh, that's a push. It definitely helps you going forward to those tools are there to help you. As much as you want to say it's a video game, as much as a lot of people want to argue it's a sim, it is such a learning tool for every driver to have. Because the stuff I'm doing is all usually fantasy tracks. It's not real tracks. The stuff you guys are doing in iRacing, well, that's real tracks. Those are your senior car bouncing the bumps. Your senior car, your senior tires wear out on a track like Nashville or something like that, because that's what those tracks run like, right? It's those learning tools is I feel it's what's elevated a lot of people's games, especially since 2020, because a lot more people had that time to do it. And to see you come out here, win last year, and do what you've done behind the wheel of a car, it's the knowledge is great, and working on the car is a great learning tool to learn a bunch of things. But it's also the extra side quest, essentially, to get you to be better as a driver is astronomical, especially with today's age. Now, 20 years ago, first of all, you weren't even born, and the technology wasn't there to do anything like this. We were all going to arcades doing, we're going on the Need for Speed stuff at the arcades, not staying at home and talking with, real life people from all over the world who share the same passion as you.
Yeah, I'd say you put that pretty well. I mean, I definitely think the iRacing stuff's a good tool. I definitely, again, it's a video game, but at times you can get pretty serious. And if I was racing at those tracks down in the States, stuff like South Boston, the fairgrounds, Five Flags, I would be definitely hopping on the sim for. And because bumps are going to be there in real life, and how you go over those bumps, you can kind of get little hints and again anticipate what you need to do come race day. So no, I would definitely say that stuff's great, and it helps you prepare. So
now this is my issue I have with iRacing, and I know they're not listening to the show, but it's something I want to put out. iRacing, can you please come up here and spend a month scanning Oswego, Flamboro, Delaware, Sunset? Please, for the love of God, just come up here and spend a few weeks and get some more Canadian content on their servers. Because as much as it's nice having racing the South Bostons, the stuff like that, and all the little short tracks that you may never get a chance to go to. I may never get a chance to go watch a race there, but it would be nice to practice on a track that's
totally
to our own neighborhood. The only track we have in Canada is CTMP. I think it's Circuit Gilles Villeneuve as well, but that's two road courses. We got so many great tracks across Canada. I feel like iRacing needs to come up here and scan some of our own tracks.
I could agree. We definitely have those conversations a lot. Everyone, when Picasa announced that they were shutting down, everyone said that, we need Picasa scanned, which I'm all for, whether it happens or not. I would love to see it, because I think it would be great just for the Canadian scene as a whole, getting some recognition, because we have a lot of great race car drivers up here. And I would say a lot of our series, like the APC series, are highly, I would say, underlooked by North America as a whole. And to maybe put in a track like Sunset or, Flamboro, Delaware now with the repave. I think it would be really cool to, gain that traction within North America about what we do up here. So I think it would be great.
And it doesn't change the fact that, like, tracks such as like Berlin Raceway in Michigan, they're on the same pattern as us. Like, they don't start racing until April. Why are these northern tracks like, you have tracks scanned all over the world, and you have 2 from Canada when we have tons of great racing? And I feel like it would be such a great tool, especially with the new tire. I know you're not an APC guy, but you run out of a shop that has APC cars with Billy Schwarzenberg, and to have those guys only able to test twice before, throughout the year, I feel like they need to come up here and scan those tracks so some of our own boys can go get some test laps. And even like it's in my opinion, like, I feel like you might be too young for this, but like back in, I'm just putting it out there because you're 16, I'm 30, so like,
Oh, totally, yeah. I still got some years left in me.
Exactly. So at is it like 2009? NASCAR had these fantasy tracks, and one of them was Tiburon Speedway. That track was,
yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one, but it was inside a football stadium, and it was kind of like they over exuberated Bowman Gray.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. I think I actually played it with Wally Wilson one time when I was over at one of our buddies' houses. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So it was kind of like Bowman Gray, just on a much over exuberant scale and in a big popular metropolitan area. And that track was the only track I would ever run. The hardest setting, the hardest or the longest distance. And I'd always do Xfinity cars. I would never do a cup car there, but I would only do Xfinity cars because that was the closest thing I knew that would race like Flamboro Speedway. Very flat, very tight, and I would definitely put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, we have those conversations on iRacing. I would say quite a lot. Like, we would always go, what drives like Sunset, what drives like Flamboro, and we kind of, would argue for a little bit, and then we wouldn't really come to a conclusion because, especially when I first, 2020, when I was first trying to gear up for my mini stock season, I was looking at tracks. I was like, what could drive like Flamboro, just to get me kind of used to how to, drive Flamboro, and some places had similar characteristics, but nothing's like the real thing, obviously. So again, I think it would be great if they came up and scanned. Obviously it's hard, especially with what happened over the past few years with COVID, but now that stuff's opening back up, I couldn't see if there's enough, maybe do like a donation thing where the racing community puts in to get Delaware scanned or wherever. I think it would be a great idea. Whether it's going to happen or not, it's a long shot, but I'm willing to, try.
That's the thing, is we got so many great tracks. You're absolutely right, Jacasa, because I really hope it doesn't go away. I do hope that I am holding out hope that the track isn't fully closed and that we could see a return in a few years. I have my fingers crossed that Jacasa is not done for, because that is a track that I feel like we need here in Canada. We don't have a crown jewel track besides Nova Scotia, out in Antigonish there. I can't remember the track's name right now, and it's upsetting me. And Delaware. But Delaware puts on a great show and puts on great events, but it didn't have that star factor that Cayuga had. We need another Cayuga, and I feel like the new ownership group down at Delaware is a great start to bring in that. They had the Great Canadian 300 for I don't know how many years, but they had it for so many years, and it was such a great event. 300 lap late model race, shoo, that was a lot of fun, and that's what made it essentially a crown jewel in my eye, was big events like that. And the repaved is obviously a good thing. I really hope they do a lot of updates and upgrades over the winter. And I want to get back and take a look at it, because that's certainly a track I want to see, because I wish iRacing went in beforehand and scanned it, because I want to feel that bump. that everyone talks about in turn 4. And now it's gone. And I'm just like, well, now I'll never get to feel it. I never get to know what it looks like. Because
Yeah,
you
it
see them just hopping out of the turn 4, but it's either feeling it or seeing it yourself happen. It's still not the same thing.
No, I mean, yeah, I've heard Delaware's still a very great place. I went down with the APC test and the media day, and I was just walking the track, and I was like, man, I really want to run there. It like the characteristics of that track is just, it looks like such a fun place. So yeah, obviously the bump out of turn 4 is definitely gone. From my understanding from what I saw. But there's still a lot of characteristics of that track where obviously straightaways are nice and kind of smooth now, but I'd say it really hasn't. I don't think it's gonna change how a lot of guys drive the place. And how hopefully the racing is going to be better, but I think Delaware is still going to keep those main characteristics with it. So I think they've done a really good job over at Delaware.
Oh, for sure. I'm not trying to knock them or anything like that. I think Delaware's a great track, and I want to get down there. I have to make a trip down there because one of our JoMo Media drivers runs over at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. So with them running on a Friday night in their mini stock, I won't be able to make it because Delaware runs Friday nights too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping to make it down at least one time this year, and because the one thing I'm really happy about, when my girlfriend has gotten involved in racing over the past year, and she's developed a passion for it to like the point where she's like, what are we doing this weekend? Nothing. Where's a race?
That's good.
Like we went to Merrittville last year just on a whim. And we're just like, let's see where we go. We start driving. She's like, just start driving towards Niagara. I'm like, okay. She calls up her friend. Her friend doesn't, her friend's like, oh, well, I'll call you back. Okay. We get to Merrittville. All right, we're here. We just went inside to start watching racing. It was such an off the whim thing, or even Humberstone too. I think they're running on a Friday night or something like that. We're just like, let's go. That was a long weekend because that Friday night we went to Humberstone, drove all the way back to Erin, and then the next day had to load up our GoPros and stuff, and we headed down the 401 all the way to Southern Ontario Motor Speedway for a Saturday night program. So that we put a lot of miles on the car that weekend, but I'm hoping to make it down there and catch a race down there. But let's talk about. I know I've been doing a lot of talking tonight. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Don't worry.
But I just feel like there's sometimes I'm just starting to ramble, and I've been on the. I was today at Motorama. I was up on stage for an hour and a half with our other co-host, one of our other co-hosts who unfortunately wasn't able to make it tonight. She ended up having a migraine, so wasn't able to make it. But we were up on stage for like an hour and a half. No one stopped us. We could have kept talking until the cows came home, and I didn't even know what time it was. I thought we were up for maybe like 30, 45 minutes. Now it turns out we were up there for an hour and a half. I'm like, well,
that's usually how it is. Talking race, and you can talk forever, right? So
exactly. Like once you start talking racing with people, it's you see people's passion. You see the love that people have for it. And I'm definitely seeing the passion you have for it, because it all started for you for a trip going to Daytona.
Yeah.
Right. And now look at you, you're up here running mini stocks. But we're going to jump ahead here now, because we're going to come back to current year, to 2022. And let's talk about your goals for this year. We already got race one out of the way. You finished third. You have how many more races this year that are you going to run? I think they're running like almost 20 some races, I think, for you guys.
We'll be running quite a few. We don't have a official schedule laid out. We'll have one laid out, and you can follow us, Cole Quinton Racing, Instagram, Facebook. And we're going to probably split it between Sunset and Flamboro, mainly, but we're going to be running basically the majority of the nights throughout the summer, maybe a few breaks. But yeah, we want to race, and, we want to be competitive at those races. So, yeah, we'll be all across the province basically all summer long. So we're looking forward to a busy summer.
So you just said that people are going to be able to catch you at Facebook catch you at Flamboro and Sunset throughout the summer. What's one race you have circled on your calendar, even though you guys don't have anything set in stone? What is an event that you're hoping to run or looking forward to run this year?
I would say especially the velocities, both spring and fall velocity. Last year we started from the back due to having the Flamboro race on the Saturday, so we missed qualifying in practice. But I really like Sunset. Eric has helped me a lot with, getting to grips with Sunset, as that car was very good there when it ran. So we started from the back last year at Velocity, and I think we drove up to, I think it was sixth. And yeah, it was such a fun place to get around, a lot of room, great passing, great drivers there, good battles. So I'm definitely looking forward to Velocity. They have some of the best cars, if not the best mini stocks in the provinces. You get guys like Eric York, Matt Boyce, Josh Bullen. That's the cream of the crop for the mini stock division. So when it comes to wanting to quote unquote be the best, you got to beat those guys. You got to beat the best. So I'm looking forward to the Velocity. I think we can have some good racing with those guys, and being able to qualify and practice this year is gonna help us a lot. So hopefully we can start up front for those events, stay up front, and yeah, should be good.
Absolutely, man. You can never go wrong with Velocity up at Sunset, because that is one of the premier, either spring or fall velocity is such a premier event here in Ontario motorsports, because it brings out the best of the best. Like you said, you have the Josh Bullens, you have the Matt Boys, Eric York, all those guys. They're the top dogs, and if you want to be a top dog, you got to go out there and beat them.
Yeah, no, you're right. Definitely last year, I mean, I thought I put up a great drive of Velocity, but even when I got to the front, kind of stalled out a little bit, right? Those guys are really good. And even when I cracked the top 10, I had a good battle with Alan Lankin at one point, and it's just, you see how good those guys really are. It's competitive. It's tough. So we definitely have to raise the bar. We gotta, do a little more homework and stuff like that. So, but I'm looking really forward to races like Frostfest and Velocity this year. It should be great.
Sounds good, man. Where's the future take Cole Quinton? If you can see yourself, 10, 15 years down the road, where do you see yourself racing?
That's a tough one. I definitely, I want to go as far as I can with racing. I love racing. I love to do it. I have a passion for it. I like working hard to, ultimately be competitive once we hit the racetrack. I would love to go up, in the future into a higher class, whether it's something like a super stock and then eventually getting into a pro late model. I would, love to be in a series like the Quick Super Stock series or the APC series, because that is, those are the top series when it comes to Ontario racing, minus the Pinty series. So I want to climb the ranks if I can, and it takes a lot of work, which I'm willing to put in. And ultimately, I just want to be able to race against those best guys in Ontario, and hopefully hold my own.
Sounds good, man. Those are, I feel like you've been coached on your answers or something, because you've been doing such a great job all night. But for now, we're going to jump over to our fan question period, where, as you saw earlier today, we had put out there that you were coming on the show tonight, and we got some questions for you. Are you ready to answer them?
Totally.
All right. The first one up, I swear this is going to be a common theme throughout the year. The first question comes to us from Cameron Thompson. Who's your favorite 2022 pure stock rookie?
Well, I don't know. I wish Alex Stewart was still a pure stock rookie, because I would have to say Alex Stewart, but no, it'd have to be Cameron Thompson. The flag man is definitely, the ex flag man is, he's definitely a great guy. I love Cam every time we see each other at the track, and I'm interested in seeing him and Alex battle it out this year. I was upset that they were in front of us Saturday for the lineup, because I couldn't see them brawl out, but I'm looking forward to that this year. So,
well, I was able to get up to the fence and watch that race, because we had 4 drivers in that field that night for JoMo Media. So I was up there sneaking a peek and watching them, and they put on a great show. Unfortunately, they were too spread out, but Cameron, on the other hand, was having a great battle with Leo in the 42 K car. So that was that was pretty good. But both those cars, even though Cameron's got a simple theme, it's still pretty good. But definitely loving the Wheeler throwback on the on Alex Stewart's number 16 car.
It looks good. I like it a lot, and I think he's got like the hammer on the side.
Yeah.
So I definitely like it. Keeping the theme from last year.
Our last question comes to us from Wally Wilson. If you were to move up to a different class, where do you see yourself moving to? I know we kind of touched on that, but
I know. Yeah. I mean, again, if I could move up into a class tomorrow, no questions asked, I would love to be in a pro late model. I think anybody could say the same thing. Those things are great. They run around, North America. That's, if not, the top short track division. So I would love to race a pro late model.
Hey, who wouldn't, right? So that's been our fan question period. We want to thank all our everyone for submitting their questions, and of course, make sure to check back each Sunday as we announce who will be our next guest on the show. And of course, we want to thank Cole for taking some time and answering those questions.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So before we wrap up here, because I always like to do this right, that way people are kind of forced to listen to the whole podcast to get to that point to see how you answered. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Is there anyone you want to thank for getting you to where you are?
Again, I would just like to thank all glory to God. I'm very thankful just to have the opportunity to be here. I'm very thankful to have the amazing people in my life that I do. Ken and Carol Spira, everybody at Spira Racing, Spira Fire Protection, Wheeler Construction, Just Foament, Hide Whip Heating and Air Conditioning, and all my other amazing sponsors and supporters, Nick's Journey, Nick and Susie Spellick. I'm just very thankful to have a bunch of amazing supporters and of course my family. And I can't forget Darren Dryan, who did my incredible wrap this year on the race cars to make sure we look good on track. So I can't thank everybody enough.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, that car, when it rolled out on track, I was like, damn, that thing looks good. But
yeah, he does a good job.
Darren does a great job. He's done 2 of our CVMs this year, so they both look easily good. Quentin Murdoch and Jay Pepin. So those are 2. He puts out amazing work each and every time. So that's, if you're looking for a guy to wrap your race car, wrap pretty much anything, give him a call, man.
Totally, yeah, he does great work. He did. He's all about the details, and I love Quentin and both Pepin's car. Pepin's car is a little more simple, but both incredible and look good on track. So,
absolutely, man. Well, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time on this Sunday evening. We want to thank you for jumping on with us this week. It was a pleasure chatting with you, getting to know a little bit more about your backstory and seeing what the future lies for Cole Quinton. Thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it. I'll be glad to talk to you anytime.
Sounds good, man. I'll hold you to that. All right.
All right.
Bye now. All right, guys. So that was the driver, the number 18 Ford Mustang mini stock. That was Cole Quinn. Of course, we want to thank Cole for jumping on with us this week. It was a pleasure chatting with him, getting to know a little bit more about him and seeing how what his plans are, how he got involved in racing. And his story was absolutely incredible. It was great chatting with him. Yeah, guys, it's man, we're almost at the time where we're gonna wrap up the end of the show here. Of course, next week, guys, next Sunday, make sure you guys are tuned in at around noon to see who our next guest will be on the True North Racing podcast. As well, guys, we do have merch available. It is on our it goes through Epic Raceware. If you guys want to support us, go ahead and buy yourself a t-shirt. All funds from it go to making this podcast better. It goes to us buying more GoPros and helping more, because I have 2 new lights over here, and it helps to go into get some better lighting, to get some better footage for you guys going forward. Thank you guys for all your support for the True North Racing podcast over the last few years. It has been an absolute blessing. Some things I wanted to mention I didn't get to mention prior. I finally got a chance to meet the stickers and scuffs guys. Cam K was walking around Motorama on Saturday. He put up a great interview, which was funny for myself because I've never been on the other side of a interview. I've always been the interviewee, not the interviewer, not the interviewee. So it was definitely weird having him ask me questions about the show and how you guys can watch it and listen and get involved in it. So I got to thank Cam for, you know, shooting a little spot. Got to thank Brandon Feeney for letting us use his car as a backdrop. It was hysterical. I got to thank Greg McPherson from Inside Track Magazine for inviting us down to Motorama this weekend and do a couple live shows for you guys. I'm hoping those videos go up sometime this week, or, you know, if we get the footage, then it goes up on our own social media accounts. It was a fun, great weekend. I was so excited to get back to the track. You know, I'm looking forward to another 13 times of going back with the CVMs. Not gonna lie, I love the club. I love the way they're going. It's gonna be a fun time this year. Yeah, so in a roundabout way, so if you guys want to buy any JoMo Media apparel like this, hats, we also have t-shirts and hoodies, long sleeve shirts, tank tops. Go ahead and go buy, guys. It's available on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit up our link in our bio. It's a link tree. So all the links are there. I'll take you straight to the site. Go pick yourself up a hat, hoodie, or t-shirt, or pick up a hat like this, or a JoMo Media hat as well. Both stores are in there. We want to thank everyone for supporting you guys. This has been a truly great ride. Make sure you guys are tuning in next Sunday to see who's going to be our next guest on the show. And, you know, hopefully next weekend we do have Kaylin and Megan rejoining us back on the show, and we'll chat a little bit more about racing and whatnot, and of course where we're all at. And we're going to talk to Megan. We'll talk to Megan about her trip to Motorama and what it was like for them. So that's going to end it for the show here this week, guys. Of course, I want to thank each and everyone for watching, listening today. Thank you guys. You guys mean a lot to me. You guys make this possible. You guys are amazing. So I'm going to end it here because this is the third time I said that. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. My name is John Morrison. You guys are listening and watching to the True North Racing Podcast, brought to you by JoMo Media and Promotions. We'll see you all next week. Bye now.
True North Racing. Let's go.